The power of emotional withdrawal. There is a strange moment in life, a moment when you stop explaining, you stop reacting, you stop proving your worth. And suddenly, the very people who ignored you, doubted you, or took you for granted begin to panic. Not because you attacked them, not because you begged them, but because you stopped caring. This is not coincidence. This is psychology. This is power. And this is something Niccolò Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Welcome to Truth 001. Today, we uncover a dangerous truth most people never learn. Your emotional withdrawal can be more powerful than confrontation. The illusion of control. Most people believe power comes from control over others. Machiavelli knew better. True power comes from control over yourself, especially your emotions. When you care too much, you explain yourself unnecessarily, you react impulsively, you seek validation, you give others leverage over you, and leverage is what weakens you. The moment someone realizes they can trigger you, upset you, or influence your mood, they gain psychological control. Machiavelli warned, "He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined himself." When you emotionally invest in the wrong people, you make them powerful over you. Why people panic when you stop caring. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't panic because they love you. They panic because they lose access to you. Access to your attention, your reactions, your emotional energy, your predictability. Human beings crave control and certainty. When you stop caring, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability creates fear. Suddenly, your silence feels loud, your absence feels threatening, your indifference feels disrespectful. Not because you changed, but because the dynamic changed. The psychology of attention as currency. Attention is a currency. When you constantly give it away, its value drops. But the moment you withdraw it, its value increases. Machiavelli believed that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Translation: people react more strongly to loss than to pain. When you stop caring, they lose influence, they lose reassurance, they lose emotional dominance. Loss triggers anxiety. Anxiety triggers panic. Why over-explaining makes you weak. One of the most common mistakes people make is over-explaining themselves. You explain because you want to be understood, you want peace, you want approval. But Machiavelli would tell you this plainly: those who matter don't need explanations. Those who seek control will use them against you. Every explanation reveals your insecurities, your emotional triggers, your fears. When you stop caring, explanations disappear, and so does your vulnerability. Emotional detachment does not mean weakness. Let's be clear, stopping to care does not mean being cruel, being heartless, being arrogant. It means strategic detachment. Machiavelli believed a ruler must sometimes appear compassionate, but never allow compassion to cloud judgment. You can be kind without being controlled. You can be silent without being weak. You can withdraw without being bitter. The first shift of power is internal. It happens when you stop chasing closure, you stop demanding explanations, you stop reacting to disrespect. Instead of asking, "Why are they treating me this way?" you ask, "Why am I allowing this?" That question alone changes everything. When you stop caring, you stop leaking energy.
You stop feeding egos. You stop rewarding bad behavior, and the world notices. In the next part, we will break down how emotional reactions expose weakness and why Machiavelli believed silence and restraint terrify manipulators more than confrontation. Stay with me. This is Truth 001.
Why reacting gives away your power. The moment you react, you reveal yourself. Your anger shows where you are wounded. Your explanations show where you are insecure. Your desperation shows where you are dependent. Machiavelli understood something most people never will. Reaction is confession. When you react emotionally, you tell the other person exactly how to control you. Reactions as weapons against you. Every manipulator studies reactions. Not your words, not your intentions, but your emotional responses. They watch. What makes you angry? What makes you defensive? What makes you seek validation? What makes you afraid of losing them? Once they know this, they don't need to fight you. They only need to press the right button. Machiavelli warned that power is lost not through force, but through predictability. If your reactions are predictable, you are controllable. Why silence is more threatening than anger. Anger feels powerful, but it isn't. Anger gives people information. Silence gives them uncertainty, and uncertainty is dangerous. When you react angrily, they feel important. They feel influential. They feel seen. But when you say nothing, when you withdraw calmly, their mind begins to race. They start asking, did I go too far? Have I lost control? Do I still matter? Silence forces people to confront their own insecurity. Machiavelli believed fear was more reliable than love, and uncertainty creates fear. The trap of defending yourself. One of the biggest psychological traps is the urge to defend yourself. You defend yourself because you want fairness, you want clarity, you want your side heard. But here's the harsh truth. People who intend to misunderstand you don't want clarity. They want control. Defending yourself gives them your emotional investment, your energy, proof that their opinion matters. Machiavelli would say, never argue with someone who benefits from your reaction. Why people provoke you on purpose. Some people provoke you deliberately. They say things just to get a response, act cold to make you chase, withdraw affection to trigger anxiety. Why? Because your reaction reassures them that they still matter. They still have influence. They still control the dynamic. When you stop reacting, their strategy collapses. They lose feedback. They lose leverage. They lose certainty. And that's when panic begins. Emotional discipline is a form of dominance. Machiavelli admired rulers who could control their emotions, not because emotions are bad, but because uncontrolled emotion is exploitable. Emotional discipline means you choose when to speak, you choose when to act, you choose when to walk away. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you dangerous to manipulate. The mirror effect. Here's something subtle but powerful. When you stop reacting emotionally, people are forced to sit with their own behavior. Your calm becomes a mirror, and many people don't like what they see. So they accuse you of changing, call you distant, say you're acting strange. But what they really mean is you're no longer playing the role I assigned to you. When reaction becomes self-betrayal. Every unnecessary reaction is a form of self-betrayal. You betray your peace, your focus, your long-term power. Machiavelli believed the wise person preserves strength for the right moment.
Not every insult deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Not every conflict deserves your presence. The one who reacts first often loses. The one who remains calm controls the pace. In the next part, we'll uncover why indifference feels like disrespect to insecure people, and how Machiavellian psychology explains their fear when you emotionally withdraw. This is Truth 001.
Why indifference feels like disrespect. Have you noticed something strange? The moment you stop chasing someone, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop trying to please them, they start seeing your indifference as a threat. As if your calm, silent withdrawal is some form of disrespect. Why? Because insecurity cannot tolerate uncertainty, and indifference creates uncertainty in the minds of manipulators, narcissists, and control seekers alike. The psychology behind feeling disrespected. Most people confuse reaction with respect. They believe if they care, they will respond. If they value me, they will act. If they love me, they will chase. When you stop giving them that validation, they feel disrespected, even if you are simply prioritizing yourself. This is not personal, it's psychological. Humans have evolved to fear loss more than they desire gain. Indifference signals loss of access, and the mind interprets that as disrespect. Why insecure people panic? The insecure are addicted to emotional feedback. They crave attention, affirmation, predictable reactions. When you withhold these, they feel powerless. And what does powerlessness create? Panic, anxiety, desperation. Machiavelli understood this principle. Men shrink from nothing more than from losing their grip on what they think they own. By not reacting, by not giving them what they want, you are reclaiming your power while forcing them to confront their own instability. Indifference as a strategic tool. Indifference is not about cruelty or pride, it is strategic. Think of it this way. Every reaction you give away is a piece of your energy. Every explanation you offer is a piece of your control. Every chase or plea is a piece of your power. By withdrawing, you retain your energy, reclaim control, and teach them that you are not theirs to manipulate. And this is precisely what creates panic. How silence disrupts expectations. People live by expectations. They expect immediate replies, emotional reactions, justification for your actions. When you stop fulfilling these expectations, you disrupt their reality. They scramble to understand, to predict, to regain influence. This is Machiavellian mastery, turning your calm into their chaos. The danger of over-explaining indifference. One of the most common mistakes is over-explaining indifference. Some say, "I'm not upset, I just don't care. It's nothing personal, I'm just busy." Even this can backfire. Explanations are clues. They reveal your thought process. They give manipulators an opening. True indifference is quiet, observant, non-explanatory. It speaks volumes without saying a word. Indifference versus ignorance. Let's clarify a subtle distinction. Indifference, you are aware, you are observing, you are emotionally disciplined. Ignorance, you are unaware, careless, or detached without intention. Indifference creates panic and fear. Ignorance creates confusion, but not fear. Machiavelli would argue that the first is a tool of power, the second is a weakness. The subtle power of non-reaction. Non-reaction is not absence, it is presence controlled. You are present in thought, but not in emotional submission. You are aware, but you do not provide feedback. You are strategic, not impulsive. And people notice this. Their anxiety grows because the dynamic has shifted.
They can no longer control you, they cannot predict you, and fear begins to replace familiarity. Indifference is a mirror for the insecure. It reveals their dependence on you. It forces them to face what they truly fear, loss of control. In the next part, we will explore how to combine silence, indifference, and calculated absence to gain psychological advantage in any relationship or interaction. This is Truth 001.
The strategic power of absence and withdrawal. There is a reason absence hurts more than confrontation. When you confront someone, you are still present. You are still engaged. You are still emotionally available. But when you withdraw, you remove access, and access is power. Machiavelli understood that influence does not come from constant presence, but from controlled visibility. Why absence creates value. Human psychology assigns value based on scarcity. What is always available is taken for granted. What is rare becomes important. When you are constantly available, responsive, emotionally present, people stop appreciating your presence. But when you step back, when you create space, your value rises in their perception. Not because you demanded it, but because your absence forces reflection. The difference between disappearing and withdrawing. Let's be precise. Disappearing is emotional running. Withdrawing is strategic positioning. Machiavelli never advocated chaos or impulsiveness. He advocated control. Strategic withdrawal means you reduce engagement without drama. You stop offering emotional labor. You allow others to feel the impact of your absence. No announcements, no explanations, no ultimatums, just space. Why people panic in your absence. When you withdraw, 3 things happen in the other person's mind: loss of reassurance, loss of influence, and fear of replacement. They begin to wonder, have I lost them? Did I push too far? Am I still relevant? Machiavelli knew that fear of loss motivates people faster than hope of gain. Your absence activates that fear. Absence exposes true intentions. Here's a hard truth. People reveal their intentions when you stop giving. When you withdraw, those who value you will adjust respectfully. Those who used you will protest aggressively. Why? Because withdrawal threatens entitlement. Entitled people don't miss you, they miss what you provided. And when that supply disappears, panic sets in. The silent shift in power. Power shifts quietly, not with arguments, not with emotional displays, but with restraint. When you withdraw, you regain control of time, you reclaim emotional energy, you recenter yourself. Meanwhile, the other person begins to overthink, speculate, and spiral. This imbalance is where psychological power forms. Why explaining your absence weakens it. One mistake destroys the power of withdrawal: explaining it. The moment you explain, you give reassurance, you reduce uncertainty, you soften the impact. Machiavelli believed clarity should be given only when it strengthens your position. Your silence forces others to confront consequences without your guidance. Absence as a test. Absence is a test you don't announce. It tests respect, maturity, intentions. People who deserve access to you will reflect, adjust, respect your boundaries. Those who don't will guilt trip, accuse, panic, manipulate. Their reaction tells you everything. The internal shift you must master. Absence only works when it's real, not performative, not emotional, not passive-aggressive. You must reach a place where you are okay without the response. You are comfortable with uncertainty. You are no longer dependent on validation. This is internal dominance. Machiavelli would say, the one who needs less controls more.
Absence is not emptiness. It is presence withheld. And presence withheld is power. In the next part, we will break down common mistakes people make when trying to be indifferent and how those mistakes destroy their leverage completely. This is Truth 001.
Why fake indifference backfires. Indifference is powerful, but only when it's real. The moment indifference becomes a performance, it collapses. Machiavelli never advocated pretending. He advocated control rooted in inner strength. Fake indifference is easy to spot, and once exposed, it destroys your leverage.
How to build real emotional detachment. Real emotional detachment is not something you act out. It is something you become. You don't wake up one day and decide not to care. You outgrow the need to. Machiavelli understood that the strongest people are not loud, they are self-contained. Detachment begins with self-respect. You cannot detach from others until you attach to yourself. Emotional dependence forms when your identity relies on approval, your peace depends on others' behavior, your value is negotiated externally. Detachment begins the moment you stop bargaining with your worth. Machiavelli believed rulers lost power when they sought validation. The same applies to individuals. Building an internal center. Ask yourself, who am I without their reaction? What remains when approval disappears? Where does my value actually come from? When your answers come from within, external chaos loses its grip. This internal center creates emotional gravity. You no longer orbit others, they orbit you. Why purpose kills neediness. Nothing dissolves emotional attachment like purpose. When you are deeply focused on growth, vision, creation, meaning, distractions lose their pull. Machiavelli believed idle minds create vulnerability. Purpose fortifies the mind. When your days are full, you don't chase attention. Boundaries, the structure of detachment. Detachment without boundaries becomes isolation. Boundaries define what you tolerate, what you respond to, what you walk away from. Healthy detachment sounds like, I won't engage with disrespect. I don't owe emotional labor. I choose where my energy goes. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. Emotional discipline is trained. Detachment is trained, not wished for. Practice pausing before responding, observing emotions without acting on them, choosing silence over impulse. Machiavelli valued restraint because it preserved options. Emotionally disciplined people always have options. Why you must accept loss. Here is a hard truth. Detachment requires acceptance of loss. You must be willing to lose people, connections, dynamics, without panic. Those who fear loss cling. Those who accept loss command respect. Machiavelli believed fear of loss enslaves rulers and people. The shift from reaction to observation. Detachment transforms reaction into observation. Instead of, why did they do this to me? You think, interesting, this tells me who they are. Observation creates clarity. Clarity creates power. Detachment without bitterness. True detachment is not bitterness. You don't need to resent people to stop engaging with them. Indifference is neutral, not hostile. You wish them well from a distance. That distance is peace. Real detachment is freedom. Freedom from reactions, freedom from manipulation, freedom from emotional chaos. In the next part, we will expose how people react when they realize they've lost control over you and the tactics they use to pull you back in. This is Truth 001.
How people react when they lose control over you. The moment someone realizes they no longer control you, their behavior changes. Not gradually, not politely, but instinctively. Machiavelli understood that loss of control triggers fear, and fear reveals true character. Stage 1. Confusion. At first, they're confused. You're quieter, less reactive, emotionally distant.
They think, maybe they're busy. Maybe I'm imagining things. This stage is subtle. They test lightly. Small provocations, casual messages, familiar patterns. They expect the old response. When it doesn't come, confusion deepens. Stage 2. Probing and testing. Next comes testing. They may say something slightly disrespectful, withdraw affection briefly, act distant to trigger pursuit. They are checking, do I still have access? If you remain calm and unmoved, their anxiety increases. Machiavelli believed people test boundaries to see where power truly lies. Stage 3. Escalation. When subtle tactics fail, escalation begins. They may accuse you of changing, guilt trip you, play the victim, suddenly become overly emotional. This is not vulnerability. It is loss response. They are trying to re-establish the old dynamic. Stage 4. Character reveal. Here's where truth surfaces. People reveal who they are when control fails. You may see anger, manipulation, entitlement, passive aggression. Why? Because the mask was maintained by access to you. When access is gone, the mask slips. Machiavelli believed adversity exposes nature more than success. Why they accuse you of changing? One phrase appears again and again. You've changed. What they really mean is, you're no longer behaving in a way that benefits me. Growth feels like betrayal to those who depended on your weakness. The desperate attempt to pull you back. Some will attempt sudden kindness. They may apologize, offer attention, act supportive. Be careful. This is often strategic affection, not transformation. Machiavelli warned that desperate gestures are rarely sincere. Observe patterns, not promises. Why calm terrifies them? Your calm is disarming. It shows you are not afraid. You don't need them. You have options. Fear comes from realizing they no longer matter as much as they thought. And fear drives erratic behavior. Your role, observer, not participant. This is the most critical point. When people unravel, do not engage emotionally. Observe. Your silence allows them to expose themselves fully. Machiavelli believed the wise let others destroy their own position. When respect replaces control. Not everyone reacts badly. Some will adjust respectfully. They sense your boundaries, your self-control, your independence. These people may earn continued access. Power clarifies relationships. When you detach, you don't lose people. You lose illusions. In the next part, we'll discuss how to respond, or not respond, during these moments without losing your integrity or power. This is Truth 001.
How to maintain power without becoming cold. One of the greatest fears people have when they detach is this. Will I become cold? Will I lose my humanity? Will I turn into someone I don't like? Machiavelli never taught cruelty for its own sake. He taught control without chaos. Power without balance becomes tyranny. Detachment without humanity becomes isolation. The goal is not to harden your heart, it is to protect it. The difference between coldness and control. Coldness is reactive. Control is intentional. Cold people shut down because they are hurt. Controlled people remain calm because they are centered. Coldness is emotional armor. Control is emotional mastery. Machiavelli valued rulers who could be firm without being cruel, because cruelty creates enemies. Why kindness doesn't mean access. Here is a powerful truth. You can be kind without being available. You can be polite without being vulnerable. You can be respectful without being manipulable. Kindness is a choice. Access is a privilege.
When you separate the two, you remain human without surrendering power. Responding without engaging. Sometimes silence is best, but sometimes a response is necessary. The key is neutral response. Neutral responses are short, are calm, carry no emotional charge. They don't explain, they don't defend, they don't provoke. Machiavelli believed Machiavelli clarity should be brief and decisive. Emotional temperature control. Think of your emotions like a thermostat. You don't turn the heat off completely. You don't let it overheat. You regulate. When provoked, slow your speech, lower your tone, reduce your words. People feel your stability before they understand it, and stability commands respect. Why you should never punish with silence. Here's a crucial warning. Silence used as punishment is manipulation. Silence used as peace is power. If your silence is meant to hurt, it will eventually hurt you too. True detachment is not revenge, it is release. Machiavelli believed vengeance keeps you tied to the enemy. Lead with consistency. Consistency builds authority. If you are calm today and emotional tomorrow, people test you. But if you are calm consistently, measured consistently, boundaried consistently, your presence becomes predictable, and predictable stability feels powerful. Keeping your humanity intact. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about people, you lose empathy, you become isolated. It means you care selectively, you invest wisely, you protect your peace. You remain warm to those who respect you, and distant from those who drain you. Machiavelli balance. Machiavelli believed a ruler must appear compassionate, but never surrender authority. In personal life, this means be fair, be calm, be unreachable emotionally when disrespected. Balance is mastery. Power without humanity is empty. Humanity without boundaries is dangerous. The strongest people walk the line between both. In the final part, we will tie everything together and show how this mindset reshapes your life, relationships, and presence permanently. This is Truth 001.
When you stop caring, you start leading. There comes a moment in life when you realize something quietly powerful. You were never meant to chase peace. You were meant to protect it. When you stop caring about outcomes you cannot control, you don't become weak. You become free. Machiavelli understood this truth long before modern psychology gave it a name. The final shift. At the beginning, caring felt like strength. You cared deeply. You showed up emotionally. You explained yourself. You gave chances. But over time, you learned. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone respects openness. Not everyone values effort. So you changed. Not because you hardened, but because you woke up. Why they panicked? When you stopped caring, you stopped reacting, you stopped explaining, you stopped chasing, and in that silence, they heard something unsettling. Independence. Your calm told them, I no longer need your approval to exist. And that realization shook them. What you gained. By letting go, you gained emotional clarity, mental discipline, psychological stability. You learn that power does not shout. It does not beg. It does not chase. It stands still. Machiavelli believed the strongest position is the one that needs nothing. The truth about control. Control was never about dominating others. It was about self-mastery. When you mastered your reactions, your attachments, your fear of loss, you became untouchable. Not arrogant, not cold, just grounded. Who stays and who leaves?
When you stop caring, the manipulators disappear. The insecure panic. The entitled complain. But the respectful adjust. The mature remain. And that clarity is priceless. You didn't lose people. You filtered them. A warning worth hearing. This mindset is not for revenge, not for ego, not for cruelty. It is for peace. If used to hurt others, it backfires. If used to protect yourself, it transforms you. Machiavelli warned that power without wisdom destroys its owner. Use this knowledge carefully. Your new presence. From now on, speak less, observe more, react only when necessary. Let your calm unsettle chaos. Let your silence speak confidence. Let your absence command respect. Not because you want control, but because you no longer need it. When you stop caring about being chosen, you become selective. When you stop caring about validation, you become centered. When you stop caring about control, you gain power. This is not indifference. This is mastery. This is Truth 001.